This one's a bit off topic, but I'm pretty good at it, so I'll explain how to do it. I'm quite good at picking girls in the early stages of pregnancy. One thing I tend to notice is, well, their butt swells up more. This one's happens, and can mean they're pregnant, usually not. It may mean it's that time of the month. It may mean they're holding into the donuts pretty hard. But, that's one of the things that I notice in a lot of girls before it becomes more obvious that they're pregnant. On that subject of that time of the month, if you know girls whose eye colour changes, apparently that's indicative of that time of the month. And you may also find that, if the eye colour really changes, that can be indicative also that they're pregnant. The body's responding to the hormone change sort of thing. But yeah, that one's not a real good one to go on, although I do seem to notice that is the case. They have a lot of different things happen in later stages, bigger jugs, and by that stage, you start to notice things in the belly anyway, sort of thing. They can have the pregnant glow, which I think that means their hair looks shinier and all that sort of thing, although I don't tend to notice that much, but by that stage it's obvious anyway, by looking at their belly. But they do get darker pigmentation of their skin. Their freckles will go darker. But these are all later stage ones. So there's other ones that are related to body language, and these are dead giveaways for me. And by this time, they themselves know. But there was a girl at work who hadn't told her friends yet, but I already knew a week and a half before she told her friends. And one of them that they do consciously is they dress different. You start to notice they are wearing like shirts that are way too big for them. And they may have always been very neat and always tuck their shirt into their pants. And all of a sudden they're not tucking their shirt in. And instead of doing up, their jacket or whatever, they always leave it open, sort of thing. And they just sort of start to dress a little bit sloppier in an attempt to, or with, strange clothes that are a bit too big for them, in an attempt to sort of hide what's going on. And if you look at their belly and it's sort of looking like, squarer and harder sort of thing, that's quite a possibility that, it may be pregnancy. It may be that they're just ran out of decent clothes because they haven't done the washing for a while. But that can be indicative, and especially when you start seeing the belly sort of looks a bit sort of harder or firmer, or sort of not quite as natural, sort of a bit out of place, then yeah, it's liable that they're pregnant. But there's one that's an absolute ripper, and this just about guarantees that you'll be correct. And they'll say, "How did you know?" More likely than they'll say, "No, I'm not." And what that is they know themselves at this time that they're pregnant, but they do this habit subconsciously. And the habit is when they're pause, like when they finish doing a particular job and then they've got to do the paperwork for it, or they're looking at the paperwork for the next job they've got to do or something like that, or there's any time where they've just got to pause for a few seconds, they'll go and stick their hand on their belly. Usually their right hand, they'll just go and stick, and sometimes their left, it depends if they're left or right-handed, but they'll go and stick their hand on their belly. And if you see this like 3 or 4 times a day or more, there's a chance that they're pregnant. If you see it happen one day, maybe she's feeling a bit bloated, ate something that was a bit rough at lunch, something like that. But if you see it a second day, you're almost guaranteed. And if you see her on a third day, put a hand on the belly when she goes to pause, when she's, working out what's got to be done next, then it's almost guaranteed. And I can tell you, you can almost come up to them and say, "Hey, you're pregnant, aren't you?" Just say it quietly. And they'll be like, "How did you know?" sort of thing. But that's a real dead giveaway, is this hand on the belly. But it's like a little habit, but they don't consciously do it. They know in their mind that they're pregnant, but they don't sort of realise full on that they're doing it. I mean, they realise full on when they just start dressing different, that they're dressing different. They know they're dressing different, obviously. But putting the hand on the belly, they don't sort of realise that they're doing it sometimes. And they'll just be like flabbergasted that you know, sort of thing. But it's just a habit they tend to do all the time in their body language. And it is such a good one for picking it. And, you know, so many times you'll just like, oh my gosh, how did you know, sort of thing, when you tell them that, you know, you're pregnant, aren't you, or something like that. But the only reason is they don't notice that they're doing it themselves. So, of course, they don't think everybody else notices, but it's one of those little body language giveaways. So, yeah, pretty good observation for a bloke who's never had a serious girlfriend, isn't it? Yeah, I tend to pick up on some things that other people don't pick up on, and there's sometimes some obvious things, and it takes me like a second or two to pick up on the obvious things, but there's stuff that other people just don't realise at all, and I just pick it up straight away. I'm just the way I observe things and notice things. So yeah.